If you can imagine the discussion I had to have with my boys when we decided to leave Boy Scouts, to sit down with them. My older son's Eagle Scout. At the time they were like 11 and 13, and to have to talk to them about the moral decisions that were being made there. I said, we just can't do this. This isn't who we are. And I'm so proud of my son. When he got an email from the Boy Scouts after he didn't re-up again, he joined Trail Life, and then went on to get our highest award, the Freedom Award, that he got an email from the Boy Scouts that said, hey, listen, can you tell us why? And my 13-year-old son, Rick, I'm so proud of him. He said, Dad, I'd like to respond. I said, of course, son, they're asking you, but, be polite, be kind, be respectful. And he slept on it. So he came back the next day and said, Dad, I've prayed about it and I've written this response, and I'd love for you to read it and tell me what it is that you think. So I'm expecting, pages of stuff. I open up, Rick, he's got 3 words on that page, his answer to the Boy Scouts and why he didn't re-up. He said, you weren't brave. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I'm not brave, how is he going to respond to me? If I'm not living my life in front of him in the way he says, I have these convictions, what kind of father am I going to be? If he's walking away from this organization, then he had the highest honor in the organization. And so that was just a reminder to me, man, Mark, you got to live your life brave in front of your son.
I came in as a boy, and I'm leaving as a young man.
Trail Life, the boys grow spiritually, physically, mentally.
It's helped me with importance of leadership, because before Trail Life, I literally did nothing.
They're developing lifelong friends, and they're being pushed beyond what they think their limitations are.
I've got one of my young trailmen, he was struggling a lot, and he is crawling up rocks. The entire time, we're having some great conversations about his relationship with God, and we're still teaching him skills that he can use in life. He gets out there, and he's just so awed by God's creation that at the end of it, he's like, I can't believe that I did that. And we just sat there and we prayed and we thanked God.
I like how you go camping and swimming.
There's a lot of leadership involved. You get to get a lot of good experience.
As a mom, I love the fact that I know that our son is involved in a Christ-centered, boy-focused group. We're confident that he's in a safe environment, that he's getting the mentorship and leadership of men who have the type of foundation that we need him to get.
I've never really been able to talk in public, and being in Trail Life, everyone's so accepting of you, and you never feel out of place here. I never felt out of place, and that really helped me become who I am and who God wants me to be, and show me where my life is going.
Other than my guidance at home as their father and Christ, I see it as the third largest thing that has molded them to be growing into men.
Me and my dad, we really didn't talk a lot. I loved him and everything, but we weren't on the best of terms. And my mom wanted my dad to go. He was like, sure, I'll go. So he asked off for work and he went. And ever since then, me and my dad's relationship has gotten closer and closer. He's moved from just being my dad, being very close to me. Even when he's away, we talk every day, and he calls us and prays with us at night. It's just brought our whole family together closer.
Trail Life USA started about 10 years ago, and the Boy Scouts, it was clear that they were kind of abandoning a lot of their traditional values, and then we knew it was going to be difficult for churches to get engaged with them because of the direction that they were taking morally, and so in so many ways they were abandoning some of their original underpinnings. And so about 300 folks across the country got together and said, hey, what would this look like for somebody to reinvent Boy Scouts for a new age with a conservative Christian, unapologetically Christian values? And so we started on January 1st, 2014, and since then we've grown to over 60,000 members. We're in all 50 states. We've got 1,200 troops functioning. It's what you would expect from an outdoor organization, uniforms.
In 10 years, that's you said 2014, right? So that's in only 1 decade, and you're already at 1,200 troops and 60,000. Yeah. Wow, that's remarkable.
Yeah, and we're kind of going one step deeper. What it is that you're talking about in terms of exceptionalism. We're restoring the foundations for what it means for a boy to become a godly man, to be a good man. That used to be part of our culture. It used to be inherent who it is that we were. We didn't have to say. Right. We didn't have to remind people we were a Christian nation. We woke up every day. That's who we were. Now we have to kind of insist on that. Yeah. And so we're restoring those values. We have a 4-step proven process for turning boys into godly men. So we talk about these four steps. We actually guarantee them, Rick. You would like this. it's a money back guarantee for churches that start Trail Life Troops. If those boys in your church that are active in Trail Life are not becoming godly men, you get your money back.
Wow.
I was a youth pastor for years. I never could.
Results oriented.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, we really believe in this proven process that we've developed, and it goes through everything that we design. It gets back to the core of what makes what turns a boy into a godly man. That looking deeply at that process, because you just don't wake up and become an exceptional individual any more than you just become an exceptional nation because you declare it such. It really is something that's deep in our structure and our character development, and that's what we're focusing on Trail Life. We're unapologetically Christian. We're not just an outdoor organization that's kind of having this Christian kind of thing going on. We are at our core a Christian ministry that uses the outdoors to turn boys into godly men, and I think that's the hope for our country too.
Man, everything, so many things you just said we could talk about. I mean, first of all, just the fact that it's not an overnight thing. Just like with a country, it takes sowing in and building that and refining that and that iron sharpening and all of those things. Same thing with a good man. And I couldn't help but think as you were saying that, George Washington had his rules of civility that he, literally just as he learned from men that were godly men, and he would write those things down and then remind himself of those things even as a young man. And then William Wilberforce, I mean, you probably know this. He said it wasn't just slavery he wanted in. He wanted to have a restoration of manners. He felt like that was the two things God gave him, basically of morals and bringing that back, that the things that make a society where you want to live. And that's what you're raising these young men to be. It's what both of us raised our boys to be. It's so important because and Boy Scouts did such a great job of that for so many decades. You get an Eagle Scout and you go, man, I'll hire an Eagle Scout on the spot without looking at anything else on their resume. That's the way it used to be because it was a person of morals, a person that would follow through on their commitment. And of course they've thrown all of that away. You guys have restored that, and that gives me great hope for the future of our country because without godly men, we're done. And we have a dearth, a vacuum of leadership in the country, and you're teaching leadership skills to these young men as well.
Absolutely. Boy Scouts are for a generation given us presidents and senators and astronauts and civic leaders and war generals and all these wonderful men that were churning out suddenly decided that magic sauce just wasn't they weren't going to hang on to it. It was kind of like when Coke had New Coke. I don't know if you remember that time they came out with New Coke. Yeah. And it really cost them. And so why change the formula? You got something good going on here. But they stepped away from it. They walked away from it and it left space for an organization like Trail Life. And I got to tell you, Rick, I don't think that Boy Scouts ever could have made a turn to go back to their original founding. They were founded in a culture that was, the Christianity was assumed. If you're talking about values, you're talking about the Bible. Now 58% of Americans no longer believe that God is the source of morality or that the Bible is the source of morality. Man. Well, that's our culture today. But Boy Scouts was founded in a culture that was the assumption. So they didn't declare in their founding, they didn't secure that truth, and that's who they were. So naturally they drifted. Well, we were forged in the fires of this kind of cultural war. So we have secured who it is that we are. We're proud of who we are. We have no intention of changing. If we did something, a lot of people say, well, how do I know you're not going to do what Boy Scouts did? Well, if we did that, there would be no reason for us to exist. We exist because we are different. We are setting a higher standard, an exceptional standard, and because of that, we are growing. The numbers are just exploding, whereas other outdoor boys organizations are just plummeting in growth.
You're literally designed to withstand the onslaught. Is what I mean. It's like they can accuse you of whatever, and they can say you should be doing all these. You from the beginning, like you said, have been forged, prepared for that, which honestly is attracting families like ours and others that we're going, that's what we want. We want somebody that's willing to stand firm.
Well, here's the thing. I have given up on the notion that I'm going to be universally loved. I mean, maybe you still hold on to that.
No, thank you.
It's more likely, Rick, that you and I will be burned in a public square someday than have a statue built for us there.
That's so true, man.
We're doing the right thing. We're doing the right thing, and we're living. How do we live any other way in front of our sons?
Yeah.
Other than to say, if you can imagine the discussion I had to have with my boys when we decided to leave Boy Scouts, to sit down with them, my older son's Eagle Scout, and to sit down and say, listen, guys, we just can't do this. This isn't who we are. And to walk away from that storied organization that we as a family, me and my two sons, had just enjoyed so much. I was never a member of Boy Scouts, but I would attend because we homeschooled our boys, and you don't drop them anywhere. So we were active. We had a great time in that organization, but to have the conversation with your sons to say, at the time they were like 11 and 13, and to have to tell them why, talk to them about the moral decisions that were being made there, and say, we just can't do this. This isn't who we are. And I'm so proud of my son. When he got an email from the Boy Scouts after he didn't re-up again, he joined Trail Life, and then went on to get our highest award, the Freedom Award, that he got an email from the Boy Scouts that said, hey, listen, we noticed that you got your Eagle Scout, but you haven't joined the Eagle Found. I forget the name of the organization. You haven't joined this. Can you tell us why? And my 13-year-old son, Rick, I'm so proud of him. He said, Dad, I'd like to respond. Are you okay if I send them an email back and tell they're asking me why? I said, of course, son, they're asking you, but be polite, be kind, be respectful. And he slept on it. This is the philosophy major. I mean, he could write a tome, without blinking. And so he came back the next day, said, Dad, I've prayed about it and I've written this response, and I'd love for you to read it and tell me what it is that you think. So I'm expecting, pages of stuff. I open up, Ricky's got 3 words on that page. His answer to the Boy Scouts and why he didn't re-up. He said, you weren't brave. Ooh. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I'm not brave, how is he going to respond to me? If I'm not living my life in front of him in the way he says, I have these convictions, what is that? What kind of father am I going to be? If he's walking away from this organization, he had the highest honor in the organization. How is that going to affect our relationship? And so that was just a reminder to me, man, Mark, you got to live your life brave in front of your son.
Amen.
And that's what we've been doing for 10 years. We've been taking this thing on, and like you said, you just kind of got to do it. That's who we are.
We got Mark Hancock with us talking about Trail Life, a great opportunity for you to start something right there in your home, in your church, in your community that can restore biblical manhood. It's going to restore the morals and the values that we need in our country, and it's going to give your boys a chance to have a great time and get involved in something that's not just sitting looking at the phone or the iPad the whole time, but getting out in the great outdoors and learning some good skills as well. Mark, what's the best place for people if they want to find a troop, or maybe they're even interested in starting a troop if there's not one in their community yet?
Yeah, actually, they go to the same place, traillifeusa.com, Trail Life USA, 2 L's in the middle. And there's a Get Connected tab. If you click on that, it shows you the map of the United States. If you put in your zip code, it'll show you the troops that are nearby. Put in your zip code and how far you're willing to drive. And then you can click on one of those troops and send an email to them and say, hey, I'm interested. How do I find out more? And when do you meet? Those sorts of things. Some of them publicize when they meet. Some say they're waiting for you to reach out to them. But if there's not a troop in your area, there's another tab right there that says Start a Troop. And it walks you through the process of getting a troop started in your church. We consider ourselves an outreach of the local church. We're not just a group that meets in the basement. We are an outreach of that local church. I was talking this morning at our devotional, and one of our staff attends a church here in town, and he said that the Trail Life Troop and American Heritage Girls, which is the girl counterpart to us, separate organization, but they've been around for a long time, that is the youth program for that church.
Wow.
That's what they do. In place of anything that they have, a youth pastor, that kind of whole program, that is what they do, is Trail Life and American Heritage Girls. I've got a guy in Georgia who canceled his midweek services, and all he does, he says, listen, if you go to church here, I've been begging you for years to come to my Wednesday night Bible study, and the same 35 of you come, and you take your notes, and then you go home, and you don't do anything. Now I want you to come on Wednesday night. If you've got a boy, put him in Trail Life. If you've got a girl, put her in American Heritage Girls. If you don't have either one of those, you come and you serve as an adult and you help us raise up the next generation. And that's their midweek service. So we're seeing churches, we're part of that church. 18% of the members in our troops, that's over 50,000 members across the country, 18% joined the church that they're in because they first attended a Trail Life troop.
No kidding.
That's powerful. So churches that understand this are seeing it as a different way for them to reach their community. And they're seeing it as an evangelistic thing because a boy who won't come to your Sunday school, no matter how many times you ask him, he'll show up for a day hike or bouldering or whitewater rafting or zip lining or camping or something like that. He'll show up for that. And what we see over and over again is that unchurched boy joins the troop, and then the unchurched family joins the church. And so we're seeing this magnificent growth. So if there's not a troop in your area, talk with your pastor, get some passion around helping the next generation. Big surprise, we're also very much a men's ministry. We have a lot of men in our program who don't have sons in the program, but they're there because they have found their brotherhood and these guys who are interested in raising up the next generation. So not only great for boys, who don't have dads because they've got dad likes in the surroundings. Single moms love that. But we're also this ministry to men who get to work alongside in the outdoors with these guys who share their values. And they're not just getting together and doing their outdoor thing, but they are pouring into the next generation. So they're fulfilling a legacy and satisfying a passion and a purpose. So I'm pretty excited about what they're doing. TrailLifeUSA.com. You can find a troop near you or find out how to start one.
I love the men part of that because it's also, like you said, brotherhood. It's iron sharpening. It's a chance to come together with other guys. Most guys don't have that. Most guys do not have a couple of other men or 5 or 6 other guys that they can get together with and have that fellowship and be open with and sharpen each other. I love that that aspect of it. And then for the church, I was thinking about, I always think of it from the perspective of I'm so busy and I don't have time to add this thing. You just spoke like music to the ears of a youth pastor or a pastor that doesn't have a youth group. It's like, here's a plug-and-play program, man.
Yeah,
I mean, like, if this could be your youth group, right?
Yeah.
Here, you talk about plug and play. You don't have to. It's like the program's written. You don't have to come up with what you're going to do every week.
Yeah.
You literally plug and play into this. That's really cool.
Well, I was out in your great state. I think it was last week, maybe the week before, meeting with the largest Southern Baptist church in the country. You know who they are. And I was so excited because who I was met there by was not the children's pastor or not the women's group leader. Go, oh, these are boys. Let's put them with the women. The men's pastor. He said, nice. I am starting this troop. He gets it. He gets it. We need men. You can't raise godly men without godly men. And so that is a mission and a function and a ministry of their church, of their men's ministry. To minister to boys. I think, man, that's powerful. That's so awesome. He and I and the executive pastor and another member of our team, we just sat down and talked about just what's going on. They're real excited about getting their troop up and running, but they got it. So it's not just the youth pastor, it's also the men's pastors. What are we going to do? We're going to have another night where the guys come and let's grill meat and talk and have a Bible study and watch a video and talk football and go home. These guys are meeting on a weekly basis and they're getting together, not focused on their own growth, but focused on the growth in the next generation, and God is taking care of them and is creating this wonderful brotherhood of these guys who are walking arm in arm to make a difference in the next generation. That's powerful stuff.
I bet you don't even know this, Mark. So Patriot Academy is actually a DBA of our parent nonprofit, which is actually called the Torch of Freedom Foundation. The whole idea is literally passing the torch to the next generation. That's what you're doing. Yeah. I mean, when you say to that men's group, you're literally saying to that men's group, okay, it's great to sit around here and light the torch together, and I get that you're defending the torch. We got to start purposely passing the torch, and you're giving them an outlet to be able to do that. Man, I am so thankful to be partnering with you. For those that might not know yet, part of what we're providing to Trail Life is the Constitution training, the citizenship, the patriotism, our Chasing American Legends show that is a fun, kind of crazy, funny way with Brad Stein to go investigate that history mystery side of America and what was that secret sauce that made America exceptional in the first place. And the idea of these troop leaders and then the boys as they get older, learning that patriotism, that love of country, and what that formula is, and how to defend it, how to be a good biblical citizen. So important part of that formula. So, man, I just think it's a match made in heaven, man. I think God designed our two organizations to come together in this way and provide this to these young men. I'm excited.
I think so. I'm always encouraged whenever I talk to you. When I hear you or I'm in the same room with you, it's just our hearts beat together for the next generation. We see things the same way. We understand that God is at work in something, and it's thrilling for us to join him in that effort. There's a nation to be saved here, and there's a generation of boys in particular If any other segment of our population was suffering what boys are suffering, Columbia University would be crashing buildings for them, because what boys are dealing with is twice as likely to be in special education, 3 times more likely to have ADHD. They've fallen behind girls in every single academic category, leading the way in suicides, 10 to 14 years old, fastest growing statistic. Boys are in a lot of trouble. And so there is a mission here, but God cares about them, and we've joined him in that work, and the same type of work that you're doing, really taking a look at how it is that we can make a difference. And it's working. It's working.
I thought this ministry first and foremost was to boys, helping them become courageous young men. But the secret for us was that as the dads got together, the dads bonded just as much as the young men did.
As we mentor each other's sons, we get mentored ourselves.
There's the spiritual nourishment.
Eventually, the parents start to realize they are part of it. There's so many opportunities to use whatever skill that those dads may have.
I'm not a very good outdoorsman, but the good thing about trail life is that you don't have to be an outdoorsman.
I've heard men saying, man, I'm looking forward to this weekend coming up. I think even more than my son is.
We come to life together as we experience adventures.
It's given me an opportunity to be around other Christian men who are sharpening me, who are challenging me, who are showing me new ways to reach my son.
The boys were sharing their testimonies, and one of our adults was really touched that, hey, you're a Christian, but he was missing that relationship with the Lord, and it was because of those boys sharing their personal testimonies. His spiritual growth from that point has been phenomenal.